This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
This is Capital Connection. Fridays during the Noon Report, we give you direct connection to all that's happening in Albany and Harrisburg with the experts on the issues at the state capitals. They are this week Jason McGuire with New York Families and Tom Shaheen at the Pennsylvania Family Institute. Tom, welcome to the program, sir, and good to have you with us today.
Yeah, great to join you.
And we'll start with Jason. Jason, you have an excellent article on your website, and we'll give that address at the end. New York whiffed on weed. You have argued for over a decade that marijuana legalization would have disastrous consequences, and we're seeing that in real time. In what ways have those concerns been realized?
Well, in New York, the rollout of the legal marijuana program has been just such a mess from the beginning. There was just recently legislation passed that would now fix a problem in where the locations of these dispensaries are in regard to schools and churches. Some of them are within 200 feet of schools and churches, which was in violation of the law. But because of the way it was being measured, it has messed that up. But those are some of the least of the worries. I mean, you can't drive down a road in New York without people on some major road that are smoking weed as they're driving.
Yeah.
And there appears to be no real way for law enforcement to measure the impairment of that.
We'll come back to you in a minute, Jason, but I want to get Tom's thoughts on this because Governor Shapiro has been arguing for years now, Tom, that recreational marijuana for-profit cannabis use is inevitable in your state. It's all around Pennsylvania. He says it's only a matter of time before it's in Pennsylvania. How hard has it been for your organization, Tom, to battle against the big tobacco-like lobbyists who are pushing for this in Harrisburg?
Well, certainly the industry and their hired lobbyists don't mention any of the harms. And we've just seen a number of states and the experience that they have had with the addiction and the traffic fatalities and the hospitalizations. And I think the initial states that legalized it, it took a lot of money to sell a lie, but the industry was able to sell a lie on a ballot measure, and people voted for it.
Yeah, and the profits that are supposed to be realized from this not happening. You look at the societal costs of this, Jason, 1 in 3 people who have experienced with marijuana will become addicted within a year. The effects on the brain, stroke, heart disease, the rest of it. These are things we're just starting to realize. You've been saying this for years, Jason. Is anyone in Albany paying attention?
Apparently not so far. That is the concern here in the Empire State, is there has been no movement really to do anything to try to restrict what is happening with weed here in the Empire State. But you pointed to some of the major concerns that we have with this. There are health concerns. There are addiction concerns. And the problem is most people think that when there is somebody smoking weed today, it's the same thing as back when there were hippies. It's not. It's an entirely different product. It is synthesized. It is chemicalized. The THC levels are much higher than they ever were before. So we are talking about apples and oranges when it comes to this product. It is not what it was in the 60s and 70s. It is far more dangerous to the culture at large.
Yeah. So the House will move it forward. It's the Senate, Tom. It's always been the Senate that has made the difference, but those margins are pretty close. How confident are you that you can keep this at bay again this year, in an election year?
Yeah, we'll have to work hard, but I think we can do that. A Republican majority Senate that does not see it as a priority is our key at this point.
Yeah. Budget negotiations, Jason, are ongoing in Albany. It seems like what to do about ICE is job number one for the Democrats who rule the roost. There's hardly a day where you don't see some kind of legislation designed to rein in ICE or ban ICE or continue New York's sanctuary state policies. The governor's proposed banning any kind of ICE collaboration contracts. Is there a role the state and local law enforcement authorities should be playing when it comes to immigration enforcement, or should this strictly be the purview of the federal government?
No, I think there is a role, and really the role is not to have animosity towards federal law enforcement, and that's essentially what the governor and the legislation here in New York is seeking to do, is it's trying to create a rift between local law enforcement and those federal law enforcement officers. In the law enforcement world, there is just this rule that one backs up the other. And so if you are on a scene and there is something occurring and federal law enforcement needs some backup, who's there to provide it if local law enforcement will not?
Yeah, indeed. Tom, Governor Shapiro, this big news in your state as well, condemning plans by the federal government to convert warehouses in Bucks and Schuylkill counties into ICE detention facilities. Why is he so dead set against this? And do you think that there needs to be more of a collaboration between local state authorities and federal officials when it comes to immigration enforcement?
Sure. I think given any other issue, you would expect collaboration, right? And on this one, there's division. And I think it's not a surprise that the governor would react negatively to anything coming from this current administration, because that's been a pattern.
Yeah. Jason, ICE knows who they want. That's why they want to work with the local county jails, because they know who the people are that they want to target. Mm-hmm. They don't want to go into the schools. They don't want to go into the hospitals. They don't want to go into neighborhoods. They want to go into the jails and get these people before they're released. I think that's something that's kind of lost in the sauce here. There is a strategy behind these raids that we're not hearing a lot in the mainstream media.
Yeah, that's true. That's why they want to, again, pick up those people that are here and need to be deported at jails. And even courtrooms are being criticized when you see ICE in the courthouses. But the reason for that is if they go into a courthouse, those individuals have already gone through the scanner that indicates they are not armed. It is safer for law enforcement. It is safer for the general public if they know that there will not be some kind of a shootout with a person who may be having an illegal firearm. Yeah. That's why you're seeing these procedures going forward, and perhaps folks like Governor Kathy Hochul and many of the Democrats are not saying.
Yeah. What is the status, Tom, of those two facilities we mentioned? And the federal government paid big bucks, something like $90 million for the warehouse in Bucks County, $120 million for the one in Schuylkill County. What is the status of those facilities right now?
As far as I know, the purchases have been made and negotiations are taking place to enable this, but I think it's a go. I mean, as far as the federal government, there's a need for it.
Yeah.
And the other thing to remember, it's temporary. These are temporary holding facilities. And so I think when some of the things are worked out and federal officials satisfied local officials, I think it will go forward.
All right. One final issue, and then we'll let you guys go. I want to talk about assisted suicide again, Jason, because New York State is about to open that ball of wax. The reality of that is about to set in. And a lot of folks are unsure about what that will look like. In less than 6 months, it will be legal to take your own life in the state of New York. Not many states allow this. I think there's only 13 for a reason. What are some of the more immediate concerns that you have, some of the unforeseen consequences of physician-assisted suicide that maybe people at first glance didn't really realize, oh, that's what this is?
Well, let's refer to it not as a ball of wax, but how about Pandora's box? Because that's what's going to happen, is once you open up Pandora's box, you're not going to put that evil back in. It just tends to spread. And let me speak very personally. Many of your listeners know that I am stage 4 terminal cancer. If I refuse treatment, I would qualify for assisted suicide in my state. Mm-hmm. It is entirely possible that people in a depressed state that are tired of fighting a disease, it is entirely possible those people could say, I will stop taking treatment and I will pursue this suicide option instead. There's a coercive effect that happens under assisted suicide, and we have to watch for that, not only in my state, but all across the nation. Don't go down that path.
Amen, Jason. And all of our prayers are with you and your family as you fight this fight so valiantly as you have. Tom, I know it's not legal yet in Pennsylvania, but you're keeping a close eye on this issue as well. Why do Pennsylvanians need to be paying close attention to this?
As we've seen in New York and the other states, there's a whole segment of activists and lobbyists who think it's a great idea. We perennially have legislation, and we do right now, that comes under the medical aid in dying, or another bill is healthy choices. And those are anything but that, because the only option that this type of law expands is death. And it changes the role of physicians and even pharmacists. Their traditional role as healers becomes one as actually providing and facilitating suicide.
Yeah.
And pharmacists concocting poisons. What we have to watch is we may be on the cusp of it because of our neighboring states, because what happened in New York, what happened in New Jersey, what happened in Maryland. So it's something we really have to watch and really, especially people within the church, be educated about how far this can go.
All right. And that will have to be the last word this week. But Tom, if folks have questions about this issue or any other in Pennsylvania, or they simply want to learn more about the PA Family Institute, where can they find you online?
Sure. PA Family, like Pennsylvania Family, pafamily.org.
And read all about Jason's battle with cancer, his courageous fight against this disease. You're writing about that, Jason, and all the other issues in New York as well. Where can folks find you?
NewYorkFamilies.org.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.